Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for inviting me, giving this opportunity to talk about the great Vaishnav. It's always purifying. My name is Brij Bihari. Um, I actually am from London. Um, live there with the family. But these days I spend most of my time in the last few years here because my mother lives here. She's been living here forever. And she's in her 90th year, old age. So it was my desire to serve her, and that's why I live here. Her blessings, I'm in Vrindavan Dham. What more is needed? I wouldn't really say born as a devotee, but definitely both my mother and father, they were devotees. They were, always into Vrindavan, Lord Krishna, and always bringing us as children, and, literally growing up here. Uh, their Ishtadev was Bhakti Bihari. So I'm taking you back into 40s and 50s now. So they've been coming here, staying in Vrindavan. My mother's been always here. I have two older sisters, so we always been here. So they introduce us to Krishna consciousness. But the way I grew up was just reading about the Lord's pastimes. They bought us books. They told us. We lived in Vrindavan. At that time in Vrindavan, if you just went out in the evening anytime, you will see every courtyard doing leelas. The children dressed with Radha and Krishna. Just few people congregating around, and they'll be just enacting some leela or other, and then they'll give this, white butter, as prasad. So we just loved being here. The Yamuna was crystal clear. Children, we just loved to play around that. That was the beginning. Of course, I didn't know at that time what the purpose of life is, why we're here. It's just that my mother and father introduced us, and we just loved the life, loved the prasadam, loved going around in the Vrindavan dust, bathing in Yamuna. And then the life took its own turn. Education took me far and wide. And then my job actually took me from here to where most of my adult life was spent, actually in London. I used to work for an international bank. And I got married, and I was traveling a lot from India or around the world. And it was not really conducive, so we moved to Europe, London. That was the 90s. And somehow or the other, I kind of lost touch with the Vrindavan life. But I guess the seed was there, the taste was there. We always had a very clean upbringing in terms of culture, eating habits, regulated life. So that wasn't a problem. Even tea, I never had tea in our household. Coffee, teas, onion, garlics, no, nothing. So that was all good, but it was just not understood properly. That why? Because maybe my mother and father didn't think of telling us. Maybe they didn't know themselves. I don't know in terms of what is the ultimate purpose of life, or maybe they said, but it didn't dawn. So in 92, 93, I was first time in Bhakti Vedanta Manor. I had not known of ISKCON at all. Never heard of it. And we just as Indians would do, expat Indians, they would just search out for the temple, just go to the temple, there. Things felt very different. Taking darshan, the environment was so calm, so sattvic. And then it was evening time. Didn't know the schedule, how it runs. And obviously the class was supposed to begin. So before that, I can't remember the devotee, they sang Radha Madhav, Brij Bihari. Sat there, and at that moment I felt, oh, it's such a nice bhajan, so beautiful. And that actually made an impression, very deep. And that's how it started to then associate with devotees. 94, around that time. Couldn't understand Bengali, didn't know a word of Bengali, didn't know the artis that we sing, right? Absolutely nothing. It was a struggle, because we grew up in North, in Vrindavan, in India, and Om Jai Jagdish Hare is the arti that we sing. There's so many other bhajans, but not Bengali bhajans. I was not exposed to that at all. So what are we singing? I don't understand that. I hadn't heard of Prabhupada at all. So I didn't even know what that title means, Prabhupada. Because you hear Swamis and you hear Maharaj and Goswamis. I just couldn't make anything out of it. But somehow the other devotees' blessings continued. And then I got to know more and more. And I think it was middle 90s, somewhere, the penny finally dropped. That, oh, this life is meant for devotion to Krishna. Because there's nothing here. There's anything but suffering. So that penny dropped, and then I got more and more interested in reading Prabhupada's books, association, in learning the bhajans, in learning the artis, learning the meanings. And here I am. So, growing up literally in Vrindavan, coming to Vrindavan almost every year since my adulthood even. Just like, you take darshan, they're nice and you go, but no philosophical depth at all. No study of scriptures at all. Just some feeling and emotions, because that's what you get from your parents. But I think what solidified it, because again, it's education, right? Modern education. It tends to question everything. You want to see the proof, you want to understand things. And I think that was a turning point, that I could understand what Prabhupada was saying in the books that he translated, that what actually it means, who God is, who you are, why are you here, what is the purpose of life, right? And that's how the faith actually grew and grew and grew. And fortunately, it's just kind of ending well in the sense that I'm trying to, do something with this life that I've got, devote it in the thoughts of, devotees, the elevated devotees, make some progress. Absolutely, and I have to be honest, I still get impacted. Why? The senses are so strong, and whatever we see around us, it does, lead to contemplations which we should not be getting into. And it's difficult to manage, I must admit, but it can be done. So, to give you an example, all my life I worked with investment banking. I mean, I often used to call investment bankers as, like modern day butchers, basically, right? Because there's no values there except money talks and greed talks. Except, if you're in that kind of a company, in that kind of work, that's the only thing which, drives you. Money, 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 money. I often say that, unfortunately, bankers say they sell their grandmother on the drop of a hat. Somebody gives them money because there is, available to take care, And it's difficult because you see your colleagues, your friends, reaching certain heights, making some insane amount of money, flashy cars, lifestyles, this, that, whatnot. And yes, I was impacted by it. And yes, I aspired for this. And, I should. But somehow or the other, I was never that successful. so that it could just carry me with it completely. And looking back, of course I wanted those things, but somehow or the other, it just didn't happen when I wanted them to happen. And that I put it down. I had a boss who was very demanding, very senior, almost 80,000 people work with. You know, very senior, very demanding, very sharp, like brilliant business mind. And he knew that what is the motivation for people to work for him or with him. It's just money, right? Prestige, power. Because everybody just wanted that. And he exploited that to the hilt, right? By just, kind of treating you like dirt, very demanding, insulting, demeaning. But yeah, people would just like Vifale Sevanu Kripanu Durajanu. Exactly. And at that point in time I felt very bad that I've had to do it, don't want to do it, or this, that, whatnot. But I did it because I wanted it. But somehow or the other, he just didn't give me what I thought I deserved or where I should be. Now the interesting thing is, and I just hated him for that. I absolutely despised him. Crooked, evil, person, all kind of things, right? Anyway, I moved on. I had to leave some of my ambitions aside. I moved on, and I still did good jobs and everything else, but it tempered my ambition, mellowed me down, right? And guess what? Years later, it dawned on me that he was my best friend. And I actually went and met him to thank him. He said, "Sir, if you would have acceded to my demands, my desires, my ambition at that point in time, I wouldn't be where I find myself right now. So you did such a fabulous job. I cannot thank you enough." And he was like, "What? How is that?" I said, "I cannot explain to you," because he was Muslim. So I said, "Look, I cannot explain to you, but I can just tell you that I find myself to be so happy, right? So content with what I have, with leading a very balanced life on what I want to do, the way my family has grown up into the path that I follow. It's all because of you, sir." Right? I was just really confused, very confused. And I told him that, look, as being a Hindu, we have certain religious practices, and I was very serious, sincere about it, and I never understood them. And the chief amongst them is to find out what the purpose of this life is. Right? And I found the purpose. If I had been given everything that I desired and my ambition was, I would not have taken that route at all. And you were responsible for that, right? And then we became very good friends. He went through some very difficult, tough times with his own brain tumors and surgeries and this, that, whatnot, ill health. I met him quite often. Still fondly exchange emails even once in a year. So, yes, the temptations are always going to be there. It's not that they're not there now. They are there. I give you examples. You go by car, you pass through certain areas, you look at certain neighborhoods, certain houses, certain appellants, and I wish I had something like that. It's there. But the devotional practices associated with devotees, reading scriptures, chanting, it quickly brings you down to say, it's okay. You have what you need. Don't go after that. You're happy. And I am very happy, very content. I left my job almost 3-4 years ago. Actually switched off my job now for almost 12 years. switched off. I just couldn't handle it. But because I'm a banker, I could always work in a bank. So I had to work in a bank until 2020. And then I worked in a fintech for about a year. Right? And then just left it all. And Prabhu, I have family responsibilities, my mother's responsibilities. I have children who are actually actively in education, right? Somehow or the other, by the Lord's arrangement, everything is happening. Everything is happening.
You're not working.
And I'm not working. Right? I did not know the certain things that I was doing, how it's going to help me in future. I had no idea. It's their plan. I had no idea that I'll have to serve my mother the way that I have to do. Right? That I have to. I had lost complete interest in the job. The only way after 2012 that I was interested in my job, that in my office, I would always keep copies of Bhagavad Gita. So everybody knew that who I am. This was never hidden. People say that people don't wear the religion on their sleeve. I was not afraid of that at all. Right? They come in my office, they'll ask about the books, I'll explain to them, right? If they want it, I give it to them, right? It gave me so much encouragement and fulfillment that people actually saw in me, which I couldn't see, and I don't see it either, ever, that while everything around them was so chaotic and people were so disturbed, unhappy, dissatisfied, and running around and shouting and yelling, whenever they met me, whatever work I did, they would always say, but you never look hassled. What is it? You're calm. So I could have to stay at my work for 24 hours or more at times because there's some crisis or the other. It's a job you got to do, right? Somehow or the other, I was okay. So they were attracted and they wanted to know from me. So I think there's a lot of, not that I was looking for that, but there's a lot of positivity coming my way. And I could see the results for myself. And I could also see the other side of it, which is that my colleagues, their lives and how disturbed they were. Constantly on the go, no time to have prasadam, lunch or tea or coffee. Just no time, just running around, disturbed, scheming, planning, this, that. I just used to think, I don't want to be like you. That was constant. I just don't want to be like you. What is the point? What is the point of all that money that you can't enjoy? So I could see that. So somehow or the other, there was a balancing act between the temptations and what I was seeing, and how the magic of chanting and Prabhupada's blessings and associations were working. So yes, temptations are there, always there, right? But if you follow the process, if you have faith, you can, to a certain extent, overcome, and over a period of time, maybe never disturbed. I don't say that I'm not disturbed by them, but yes, I'm careful, I'm watchful, challenge myself, and get back on the track, so to speak. So when I came in association with ISKCON in '93 for the first time, and at the time was just didn't understand much, didn't know much, figure out, still in that. I think those, because I've been here constantly, at least once a year, or maybe twice or thrice at times, because of my mother, primarily, and yeah, she was here, we would also come. But I think it was just 96 or 97 when I understood a little more, and it dawned on me that, this is what life's purpose is. This is what we need to do. It was 96 to 97. I think 97 that I came. And the first thing I wanted to do, I remember, I just wanted to go to Radha Damodar and just see where Prabhupada start translating and where he lives. That's the first thing I wanted to do. Erstwhile, previously, the first thing you do is you go to Bhakti Bihari temple. And because for us, as mother and father, growing up there, literally, that was the place to go, right? But I said, Vrindavan, I just want to go to Radha Damodar. I just want to see that room where Prabhupada translated, where he sat. I want to see the Samadhi Rupa Goswami. Right? I want to see his kitchen. Because by then, I had actually already read the Leelamrit. It's Sasrup Goswami Maharaj, the big volume. Right? The devotee was very kind enough to just give it to me. And I was so inspired by it. So just wanted to do it. It felt so fortunate. I mean, the overwhelming feeling was, while previously when we came, yes, I absolutely loved, because my children were growing up and I will tell them Krishna's story at bedtime, right? Because they were just fun, and I just loved it. And it was not that, knowing all of this and being here in Vrindavan is a matter of great fortune, the greatest fortune. But that was the overwhelming feeling. Oh my God, what a great fortune that you're here. You're here in Vrindavan. Right? The same land that Krishna played, the same Yamuna that he bathed, all the pastimes that he played with the group of friends. Right? It's the same Raman Reti that, you are now. It's just very different. It's just overwhelmingly a feeling of great fortune and a blessing. I don't know where it was coming from, definitely from mother and father, that, they definitely blessed us all. But that was the overwhelming feeling of, unbelievable. I'm here. It never crossed my mind. It just took for granted, yeah. Mother, father bring you here, you bathe in Yamuna the whole day, you have prasadam, you sit in the temple, no problem, you go here, there, it's so beautiful, it's so nice, Nidevan, Sevakul, it's just like unrecognizable. Because I'm talking to you about 70s, early 70s. In fact, I remember asking my father that at that time, 75, the temple was in a grid, right? And, why don't we go there, that temple? And my father said, no, we don't go there. That is, built by English. Okay, we don't trust them. That was it. Never came this side. But I remember the conversation. But I never realized. I just took it for granted in a way. Yeah, we're here. The first time when we came, after reading Leelamrit, right? Great fortune. I still have that feeling. I still don't believe when I'm here in Gaushala walking or standing in front of Krishna Balaram, listening to Kirtan, taking the darshan, that how come you're making me stand here in front of you? How is that possible? That's the only answer I always get is because they're causelessly merciful. They don't have to find a cause. Because if they try to find a cause in us, what ability or qualification I have. So that was the overwhelming feeling. I remember that. Oh my God, I'm here? The Prabhupada sat here? He did his bhajan here? He started translating here? In this room? Just like sheer excitement. So I think it was when he used to do Sankirtan, and he converted his van, and he would just sit and, sing. A makeshift temple, this van. And if I recall correctly, Prabhupada actually saw that and was very pleased with it. And some comments to that effect to Aindra Prabhu, that how pleased he was to see the street Sankirtan, you know, um, in New York, right? And that instruction was to the effect that you should continue it, right? And that's, I think he took to his heart, and that is it. And I think that was just once, just once. Ah. You know, with Aindra Prabhu, personally for me, the greatest insights into devotional life and inspiration and motivation I derive is by listening to the glorious characters of the devotees and what they did. I give you an example. Years ago, we were sitting in the temple, and a very wonderful devotee in London, Radha Nandishwara, very talented musician, singer, kirtanier. And before he started kirtan, he just wanted the mood to be right in the gathering. So he just asked all of us in the gathering that go back in time, which made the most impact in your life and changed the course of your life. Now, obviously, many people, there are many things you have to think about it, what it could be. For me, in an instant, at that time, I knew that what had changed my life. And that was reading Prabhupada's Leelamrita. I read it and I knew my life is not going to be the same. It's changed forever. So for me, reading, listening to the glories of the devotees, it's just so inspiring. So if we want to maintain that mood of Aindra Prabhu, that conviction, that strong belief, then we just have to associate with him. Right? Through his books, through his kirtans, through his associates, you know, who've been together, they can inspire us. We read about him. Right? Everything which is associated with Aindra Prabhu. Right? You know, when you sit in front of an entire Sachisata, it feels so, I can't describe, inspiring, fortunate, so motivating. And when you look at the room the way it was and the way it is even now, it's beautiful. You know, all the rustic look of Vrindavan, the trees, you know, the beehive, butterflies, the cow dung. It just feels so nice. I would say if you need to, you know, maintain that mood, that conviction, then you just have to follow that person. And we can follow Aindra Prabhu. I had just listening to Kirtan the other day when, you know, they put on the iPod. What do you call that? An iPod, right? And I was listening to the Kirtan. I just love listening to him, right? And certainly I don't know which melody was it, but certainly you say, Govinda. And I said, yeah, he must have noticed something. He said, Govinda, in the Kirtan. And I know Govinda Prabhu very well as well. Let's go with that. You know how he was so focused. Right? He wanted everybody to be in the Kirtan, not miss a beat. Focus, attention. Right? Don't take it cheaply. Don't take it lightly. So I think for me, we want to maintain that mood, that inspiration, then we just have to associate with him through his books, through his kirtans, with the devotees who are similarly inclined. That's the only thing that we can do. Right? Take our devotional practices seriously and sincerely. Try, always. Try. Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is very simple, but not easy. Right? Yeah, it is simple, yeah. I mean, carrying a bead bag is not a ton of a weight in your hand, right? You can carry it, no problem. Right? Chanting, yeah, you can chant, just say the name without hearing anything, right? The easy part is the application. Do we apply? And the application of chanting the Sankirtan is conviction within our heart. Are we convinced that this is the ultimate? Nothing else we will be able to do. I'm saying with my mother in the 90th year, the body is dwindling. In 2018, she did the Vrindavan Parikrama, not many years ago. Right? She still walks, lightweight, but disciplined life. Right? But I can see with her, to talk about me, they led a very regulated life, very clean life, clean environment, everything, right? So they can still do something, but not for me, people like that. Healthy life. So in the end, when everything will grind to an halt, certainly the only thing we can possibly do is chant, right? And that too will possibly happen in our mind only, because the voice will not come out. So the more we practice, the more we're convinced about it, right? The more easier it is for us to pass a final exam. It's perfection of life anyway. There's nothing bigger than the name in this age anyway. The Lord has invested all his energy in it. You have to be convinced. Right? How many times do we feel that I'm chanting, how fortunate I am? I have taken Krishna's name. I've said one mantra. We must feel that. Keep that going. That's what I think is following Aindra Prabhu means. Sankirtan with sincerity, with commitment, with conviction, with full conviction.